Welcome to the Dr. Carolyn Coker Ross Show, awakening your full potential and expanding your understanding of how to live fully and joyfully by making conscious choices that promote and maintain vitality in all areas of your life. Now here's your host, Dr. Carolyn Coker Ross. Please be sure to listen to this episode in an environment that is safe. Do not listen to this recording while driving a car or operating any kind of machinery.
Welcome to The Vital Life. We have a great show planned for you today, and my guest is Bree Boyce. She was crowned Miss South Carolina in 2011, and since then she's taken the nation by storm. Interestingly, Bree is not your typical title holder. Her story includes that she once weighed 234 pounds and was struggling to breathe. At 17, she had reached her highest weight and started having health challenges. Her doctor warned her that her knees and joints couldn't handle the excessive weight, and she was placed on an inhaler just to make it through the day. She was told that more serious problems were unavoidable if she didn't slim down. After being on the diet roller coaster most of her teenage years, she was finally to make a crucial shift in her mindset that allowed her to make a lifestyle change that she could commit to. The old-fashioned formula of hard work, discipline, and full commitment to a new lifestyle was Bree's strategy for extraordinary success. So Bree has established herself as a premier advocate on health and fitness and childhood obesity. So welcome to the program, Bree.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
And you were a Miss America Pageant contestant too, right?
I was. I competed for Miss America last January, and I made it all the way to the top 12.
Oh, congratulations.
Well, thank you.
So can you tell us a little bit more about how you went from being an overweight teenager to being in the Miss America Pageant?
It seems unreal at times when I even think back and see all the times that I've been through growing up and competing for Miss America. You would have never told the 12-year-old me that one day I'd be on stage in a bikini. So it's very surreal for me and surreal for others to even believe that, you know, I did it in this amount of time and really push forward and to compete in a pageant is just beyond my dreams and beyond anybody's thoughts that I could ever do. But it definitely was just me at 17 years old realizing that the doctor was giving me an ultimatum, and he was saying, you know, the weight is going to affect you for the rest of your life, and if you don't get it off now, you're only 17 years old. And what are you going to be like when you're 30 or 40 and you just keep gaining the weight as you've done over the years? And I knew that I had to get it off, and my parents couldn't be the ones to do it for me, and my brothers and my sister couldn't do it for me, but I had to set my mind to it, and I had to be the one to do it.
When did you start having a problem with your weight?
I started having a problem around the age of 7. I was the baby of 4, and they all had body types where they could eat anything they wanted to and be thin, and my body was just completely different. I could eat a cheeseburger, and you could tell the next day that I had eaten something very unhealthy. And so for me, I just kept gaining the weight because our family didn't know why I was gaining the weight, because my siblings ate the same things and never had a problem. But as the years went on, my family became so concerned with my health because every single doctor's visit or every single year my weight would keep going up and up. Mm-hmm. And my mom and dad enrolled me into an exercise program. They had me trying out all these different diets, trying to get me healthy. And we didn't realize that, you know, it was the unhealthy foods that our family was eating and the processed junk that we were putting in our bodies. And just because they were thin didn't necessarily mean that they were healthy.
Oh, my goodness. You're really speaking my language here, Bree.
Yeah.
This is what I preach as well. Two things that I think are really important that you just said, and I just want to reiterate, is the last one that you mentioned, that being thin doesn't mean you're healthy, because so much of the media focus on obesity is on the number on the scale. Mm-hmm. So people who are thin, they don't get told look, change your diet because your diet is unhealthy because,
Mhm.
everybody thinks, well, they're fine, they're
Yeah.
thin. And I think it's so important that you brought that up. The other thing, when you talk about body types, and I call this the genetic blueprint. You can
Mhm.
be in a family where maybe everyone in your immediate family has a normal weight, but you may have taken after a grandmother or an aunt or someone else, and your genetic blueprint was different than your siblings and your parents. And I think
Mhm.
most people growing up don't realize that, if you have that body type that's going to gain weight, then you have to adjust your eating habits to that based on your
Mhm.
body constitution. So anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just got so excited about hearing those.
Oh, no, you're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it kills me all the time to hear people say, well, I'm so thin and I can eat whatever I want to, but I just want to scream at them and say, just because you're thin does not mean that you're living a healthy lifestyle. And that's what it's ultimately about is living a healthy lifestyle. I had to completely change the way I was living.
How did,
And,
how did it affect you to be on all the diets, though? Did that?
being so young and thinking my parents just trying to be helpful, thinking that these different diets would help. And, they had seen their friends have success with, just different type of programs. And then me going through that at such a young age and hanging out with my friends and them eating different things and me saying, well, this isn't on my diet. It really affects you whenever you're young. And instead of, us saying, you're going to eat healthy, you're going to eat these nutritious foods that fuel your body, we had a complete different mindset. And so you don't realize how that affects you in the long run, because for so many years I would think, oh, well, I'll just go on this diet and I'll lose about 30, 40 pounds and I'll be okay. But you're not being realistic, because you can't keep up with that kind of lifestyle. So you have to adjust your eating habits and your the way you move. You have to adjust that to everyday life and something that you can keep up with until you're 80, 90 years old.
Well, how did you come to the realization, though, that the diets weren't going to work for you and that you had to use the old-fashioned way?
Because when I tell you I've tried every diet out there, I've tried every diet out there, and
You
they have
really have
all
tried every diet.
failed. So I knew that none of those things worked. And I said, if I really want to do this and I really want to get healthy, I've really just got to put it into perspective and realize that I will have to eat and live like this for the rest of my life, because I'm different. And, if on my birthday I want to have a slice of cake, that's fine. Have a slice of cake, but know that it's within moderation and you're not eating the entire cake for your birthday. As I used to do before, I would eat like 4 or 5 slices. But I had to just realize that I'm eating healthy because I want to be healthy. It's not about a number on a scale or the size of my jeans. It's I want to be healthy and I want to live a long and sustainable life.
So how did being overweight affect your self-esteem, especially, in middle school and high school, where there's so much attention nowadays on people's weight, and kids get teased and ostracized because of their weight? Did you have those experiences?
Oh, I definitely had many of those experiences. My self-esteem was very low, but my form of coping with that was making fun of myself with others to be able to laugh with them instead of them laughing at me. I would make jokes about myself, and then at the end of the day, I would come home and I would just be so depressed and so upset with myself for allowing others to make myself laugh with them. And so that was really hard for me. And I was always kind of the funny girl trying to compensate for my weight and just, doing ridiculous things and trying to be funny just so people would like me. But I always just was teased on, and I actually got stood up to my junior prom 2 days before prom. The guy called me and he was like, "Hey, I can't go to prom with you." And I was devastated. I mean, I had my dress, I had an appointment for makeup and hair, and I was just so excited that it actually was going to prom. And 2 days before, he called me and canceled, and then I found out later that he was getting teased, that people were kind of just making fun of him for going with the chubby girl.
Oh,
And so that, that really hurt. And just to go through those experiences and to have people call you names going through school and just different activities and having your peers look at you different and not being able to enjoy pool parties or things like that, that really affects you. And it affects you in the long run, too, because you'll always have those memories to go back on. But that's why I love doing what I'm doing now and being able to speak out to especially young kids and show them that you don't have to let others' words define how your life is going to turn out.
Just out of curiosity, have you seen that guy who stood you up since you became Miss South Carolina?
The funny story about that is I actually had not seen him since high school, and then I ran into him 2 days after I won the title of Miss South Carolina.
Oh, my goodness.
So did he have
anything to say?
Karma.
I mean, I've heard of instances where, like, kids who bully other kids because they're overweight in school end up sometimes, coming back and apologizing for that because they feel bad. Did that happen with him or no?
No, he just kind of said, hey, and just kind of walked away. I think he was a little nervous because where I live, everybody knows your name and they know your business. And so everybody was so excited in my hometown that I had won Miss South Carolina and I was going to Miss America. And all of the media attention, of course, had everybody talking. And so to run into him, I think he was a little nervous to say anything to me. But I've definitely gotten like Facebook messages and friend requests from people that were just so mean to me in elementary, middle school, and high school. So it's weird for me to kind of see those people want to be my friend now. It's just
How do you deal with that?
Say what?
How do you deal with that?
Well, my dad always taught me and my brothers and my sister that, people can always, say things to you, but you don't have to take them for real. You don't have to take those words into consideration, but never be rude or mean back to them because you'll never have anything to regret, but they'll always have something to think about every time they see you or something comes up about you. They'll always have those memories of being mean or rude to you. So I just always have treated everybody very kindly, and even though
so you even accept their friend requests.
I did. I mean, it's for me, it's Facebook. It's, if you want to see what I'm doing, then fine. I know who you are. You're not a stalker or anything like that. But, I really just, I wish well for everybody. And I guess sometimes that I can be a little downfall for me. But, I'm just a nice person. My dad's always taught us to be very kind to others, and
I understand
if they come to me with an apology, I'm definitely going to accept. And but I think it's very important for kids today, especially seeing that bullying is so big today, to realize that you can let those people be bullies to you, but you don't have to take those words into consideration. They mean nothing. You are who you are. And just as long as you believe in yourself and you know what your worth is, that's all that matters. Don't ever let anyone try and bring you down.
I think that's a really great message for kids because so many of them are suffering through these times. And I had a question. We just have a few minutes before the first break, but were there other factors in your life that contributed to your weight problem, or was it simply a matter of eating the wrong foods and all of that? I mean, were there any emotional eating issues or issues that might have contributed to your overeating?
Well, it definitely started off just me eating the wrong foods and the lack of exercise. But later on down the road, after trying different diets and always growing up with slim siblings and them being able to do whatever they wanted to, and then my family was always constantly on me for, well, maybe you should do this or maybe you should eat that. And it always was just this elephant in the room that, Bree will have the salad and we'll have this. But until my whole family decided to make a change is when it really hit home, and we all changed. But for a long time there, I would go out and I would sneak food, and I would eat as much of it as possible to hide from my family that I was eating these foods. So then the weight started to pile on even more. Because I would feel like, well, I need to eat this now because later I won't be able to eat it in front of my family. And so every single opportunity that I got to hide and eat food, I would take that opportunity and I would eat as much as I wanted to, no matter if I was full or if I felt sick. I would eat until I had to stop, until, my family came home or I needed to leave my room. And so I think that always being on a diet and always, just having, it was one issue that I could never get away from. The moment I woke up, it was about what I was going to eat today and if I was going to exercise. And when I went to sleep, it's like, what was I going to do tomorrow? So it was this constant thing, and it was always in my mind. So it definitely became something emotional later on down the road, especially in my teen years.
Uh-huh. So what was the catalyst that made your family decide to actually make a change with you?
Well, after I started, eating healthier and just cutting out sodas and cutting out sugar and just all the bad things, I started to drop weight. And I went and met with a nutritionist. And we spoke about why we need food. We don't need it for comfort or just because it tastes good. We need food to fuel our bodies. And so my whole entire family started to see that just because they were thin, they weren't healthy. My mom had high cholesterol, and after the change we went through as a family, my mom got off of cholesterol medicine, and her cholesterol levels are perfect now.
Right.
So the whole entire family saw where, eating a certain amount of food or eating, fast food and just eating a small amount of it or eating different than I did, it didn't mean that they were healthy. It just meant that, they had different body types and they could handle that food better. But then we all started to realize that food isn't for comfort. It's for fueling your body.
Good. Oh, I think that's the best and most important factor, especially for kids. So many families do what yours did, and they just focus on the child who has the weight problem without realizing that the whole family has to make a change. And that's how kids can be supported in in reaching a healthy weight, is if the family really does it together, not just them saying, "Oh, you eat salads while we have a burger," which I've heard.
Exactly.
I've heard that over and over and over. We're going to have to go to break now, but when we come back, I want to talk more about how you have developed your experience into your platform that you speak about all over the place. My guest today is Bree Boyce, and she was crowned Miss South Carolina in 2011 and was entered the Miss America Pageant in 2012. And we're talking about her own struggle with her weight and how she has changed that and developed a healthy lifestyle. And I want to remind everybody that The Vital Life is now available on iTunes. So if you want to download podcasts of this show or of previous shows, just go to iTunes. My guest today is Bree Boyce. She was crowned Miss South Carolina in 2011 and entered the Miss America Pageant in 2012 and was in the top 12 finalists. Her story, though, is not simple because as a child and as an adolescent, she was overweight or obese and developed health challenges and had to go through her own personal journey to healing from that. So, Bree, I'd like to ask you to move on to your being crowned Miss South Carolina, and I wondered, here you are, a young woman who has bullied in school, who's had a lot of negative experiences because of your weight, and then you win Miss South Carolina. Did that change you in any way?
Absolutely not. People always say, well, that have known me for years, they say, it's so funny because, after you lost the weight, we thought that you would be a different person, but you just look different on the outside. And, but they say, you seem happier and you seem more confident. And that's definitely two things that have changed since I lost the weight and won Miss South Carolina. I do definitely have a lot more confidence, and I believe in myself a lot more than I did before, but I'm still the same person I was. I just have a lot more confidence, and I believe in myself.
I think one of the things that, you really do have a great story, and you've had so much success, and a lot of it on the surface revolves around you losing the weight, because obviously, that was almost a prerequisite before you could enter into the beauty pageants. But a lot of my patients really do believe that if they could just get thin, their whole lives would turn around, and that, they'd find the perfect guy, and they'd make more money, and, they'd be more successful. And I mean, what do you say to people who are desperately really doing anything and sometimes developing eating disorders just to lose weight because they think it'll fix their lives?
Well, if you're not emotionally well, it will not fix that. It's just fixing physically, and then you really have to work through that emotional stuff first. That is definitely the one thing that I realized was, I had to get healthy for me and nobody else. And if I wanted to be happy and healthy, it had to be long-term and not something short-lived. And so I first started to really just, I started every single day for a year, and I continuously do this now. And I started this at 17 years old. I would look in the mirror every morning when I woke up, regardless of how I felt. And I would tell myself that I was smart, beautiful, and important. And so every morning I get up, and now it's like clockwork. I can't, I don't even think about it. It just happens. And I think that's very important for people to realize that they need to work through the emotional stuff before they can work on their physical side.
That kind of reminds me of the scenes in the movie The Help.
Yeah, everybody always says that.
that?
And then the movie came out, and I was like, wow.
Yeah, you were ahead of your time. But what was it? I can't even remember the three things, but it was just like that. She would say, I is smart, I is,
kind, I am important.
Yeah, I is important.
Yeah.
That was such a
if they think that losing weight will get you a boyfriend, I can tell you now that I don't have a boyfriend and haven't since I won Miss South Carolina. I've just been too busy to even have a boyfriend or have a relationship. And so, I mean, you just really have to find what your calling is and work for it every single day. Don't make it something that's going to make you unhappy, because I know that, you can take it to the extreme. You can lose the weight, and then you can form an eating disorder, because there were times when I was about to compete for Miss America that I had all of these people in my head telling me, well, you need to look a little bit better, you need to have a little less jiggle, you need to work on this loose skin a little bit more. And that really affects somebody's mind. And I would have to just put myself back into reality and say, I'm living a healthy lifestyle. I don't need to let these people make me restrict more calories or work out extra times a day, because I started to go down that road, and I said, I've overcome obesity. I can't go down another road, another path, because I need to stay on the healthy path. And so
were these people who were advisors of yours, or people in the pageant world, or what?
Just different people in the pageant world. There's always the stereotypical pageant body type, and so that was one of the main reasons I competed for Miss South Carolina, was because I wanted to change that perspective that people had of pageant girls. You don't have to be a 00 or a supermodel your whole life to be able to compete for Miss America. You can be a normal person who's had struggles and overcome them. And
so why did you decide to take on the obesity issue as part of your platform? Because you could have just become a pageant winner, and probably nobody except the people in your hometown would have known that you had a weight problem before.
Well, it's really, for me, whenever I first started, I competed 1 year before I won Miss South Carolina. I competed twice. On my second year, I won. The first year I competed, I had only lost about 85, 90 pounds. So I wasn't even at my ideal weight and where I wanted to be. But the Miss America organization allows all of the young women competing to have a platform, something that is personal to them. And so I battled with, should I go with something that is generic and everybody wants to hear about, or should I just be really honest and vulnerable and show everybody that, here's my story, take it for what you want it to be, and help others who are going through what I went through. And I just always constantly had this voice in my head saying, you need to do it. You need to just go through it. You need to tell everybody what you went through, and don't hold anything back, because there are so many people struggling today, and especially young kids.
That's a good point. What are you hearing as you travel around the country from kids and teenagers about what's going on in their lives around this issue?
Well, I definitely get, thank you for coming and speaking to us, because I've been dealing with my weight and people picking on me, and you've just made me feel like I can do anything. And I always tell the kids, whenever you get out of middle school, junior high, and high school, you're going to look back and you're going to say, I can't believe I let the words of those people affect me, because there's so much more to life. And you think those are the worst times going through in high school. You think that it's just the end of the world when somebody says something to you. But when you actually get out in the real world and you start to go to college and you're doing different things, you really start to become your own. And those things don't even matter that happened to you in the past. They affect you, but it's how you allow them to affect you.
Are there any kids that are teenagers or people that you've met in your travels who really touched you and inspired you?
Actually, I got an email yesterday from a mother of a child that I spoke to her school, and she said, I just wanted to thank you so much. And this was almost a year ago that I was at this young girl's school, and she said, I just want to thank you so much for coming and speaking to my daughter's school, because it's almost been a year and she has lost almost 85 pounds. And it's because of you that she decided to make that lifestyle change. And so to have those kinds of stories and to hear about that and to really know that you're making a difference, that is why I do what I do. And that is why I'm so vulnerable, and I don't hold anything back, because I know that I can ultimately help a lot of people.
What about the kids that you're hearing from who are saying, I am trying to lose weight, but I'm still, I can't seem to do it, or I keep, regaining the weight? What kind of hope are you able to give them?
Well, it's all about positive reinforcement. Whenever I hear that, I just let them know how awesome they are, and I literally will just be like, listen, what can we do? You need to email me every day and have somebody to check in with. Do you need me to write you out a diet plan that, works for your lifestyle? And or do you want me, especially in my hometown, a lot of kids will say, hey, will you go walking on the trail with me? And if I'm home, I would definitely go out and walk on the trail with them. So I try and just be that person who isn't, pushing something down their throats, because kids, they're going to hear something, they're going to rebel against it. It's the nature of the beast. Whenever you're a kid, you don't want to listen to adults and what they have to say. But, just being that person that can relate to them and say, hey, I've been there. I've lost the weight, I've gained it back, and have failed on so many diets and thought that I would never get to where I wanted to be. I said, but I'm telling you now, if you stick with it and you believe in yourself, and I think that's the most important thing with the younger generation today, is they don't believe in themselves.
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
Well, there's constant, people saying that you can't and you won't, and it's sad because you think that adults, especially, that are so impactful in young kids' lives. especially teachers and different coaches and everything, you would think that the kids would really get it, that they are good enough. But a lot of times you hear of cases where teachers even belittle kids today. But you have so much bullying going on, and even more so than whenever I was in school. It's scary to think about how many kids are getting bullied every single day, and that is just stomping on their self-worth all the time and making them think that they aren't good enough. And then you have society saying, you know, if you don't look like this model on the cover of this magazine, then you're not good enough. Or if, you know, you're not as successful as this person, you're not good enough. So it's just a constant society thing, and I think that everyone needs to have a check and say, you know, we need to be supportive of each other. We need to help each other through any kind of struggle that someone may be going through. And I think that's the most important thing, is having society accept that not everybody's perfect.
Well, what do you say, though, to parents who kind of pull the health card and say, well, you know, I want my kid to lose weight because I want them to be healthy. I know they can't be successful if they don't lose weight. And that's how they justify putting them on a diet and, you know, doing some of the same things that you went through.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's definitely, I mean, you can be overweight and successful. You know, you see many people who are overweight and have successful jobs, but a lot of times people let being overweight affect them and how they are successful. Somebody may be successful in a huge business, but that doesn't mean they're successful in health-wise. They may be struggling with that. So just because how they look on the outside and how much money they have in their pocket doesn't necessarily mean that they're successful. So really, when parents say that, I'm taken back a little bit, because for me, it's, you know, you want your kid to get healthy so that they're healthy and they have a long and sustainable life, not just because you want them to be successful in a job or successful in school. You want them to be healthy so that you have them around for years to come.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think, you know, one of the messages that medicine and society has given to parents and even pediatricians who work with parents is that you cannot be healthy unless you are thin. And I don't know how you feel about the health at every size movement, which basically says that, you know, you don't have to be thin to be healthy.
That's right.
Obviously, it's everybody has different body types, and while reaching a healthy weight for one person may mean getting down to a size 4 or 6, for another person it may be being a size 12.
Yeah. Well, I think that everyone's so fixated on the BMI, and they think, oh, well, you know, I typed it in and it calculated I'm obese. Right. And they are probably, you know, sometimes they are healthy and living a healthy lifestyle, and they're not considered obese. And so I think so many people really rely on that BMI scale, and I think we need to kind of get away from that and really focus on, are you eating the right foods? Are you getting daily exercise? Are you meditating? Are you doing all these things to keep yourself in check and to make sure that you're living a healthy lifestyle every single day? It's not about that number on the scale, and it's not about the size in your jeans, but are you taking care of yourself ultimately? It needs to be the question.
I like the fact that you're including other things besides just the weight. You know, like you say, are you meditating? What other things have you learned to do to take care of yourself, especially given your hectic schedule? I would think would be difficult now.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have to find the balance, because for me, every day is different. And, you know, one day I might be on the East Coast and the next day I might be on the West Coast. So I really have to, for me, it's really having a schedule and really knowing that, you know, today I have to get, you know, my meditation in to find that balance and to really reach for a higher power and ask God for help every single day. And
has it been difficult to adjust to being so well known, so famous, so in the media?
You know, it has been very, very hard to adjust to that, but there's always the good and bad in everything. And the good is that I'm helping people, but the bad is, you know, you're always in the public eye and people are just, you know, watching you like hawks. And so I've just really had to...
Do you ever think that people are watching you thinking, oh, she's going to gain it back? Kind of like what happened with Oprah?
Oh, yes, all the time. And so, that at first that was a constant fear of, am I going to let people down? Am I going to fail? And then I just had to, like I said, put myself back into check and say, this is the way I live. I'm not going to gain the weight back. I need
You're
to stop
not on a
worrying about
diet.
it
This
and
is
just
your
letting
life.
it be.
Yeah, you're not on a diet. This is
Yeah,
your life, right?
exactly. There's no way I can gain the weight back if I continue to eat healthy and live the way that I live. So I don't need to worry about what others may think I might do.
Okay. Well, we're going to go to break now, and I just wanted to let everyone know I'm talking to Bree Boyce. She's the 2011 Miss South Carolina and also entered into the 2012 Miss America Pageant. We're talking about her struggles with obesity and her message to other people, including and especially children and teens who are struggling with the same issue. Welcome back to The Vital Life. I'm here with my special guest, Bree Boyce, and we've been talking about her struggle with weight and also her success with weight. So, Bree, I wanted to, you've been traveling around the country and inspiring so many people. I just wanted to ask you, who inspires you?
Well, the person that inspires me the most is my grandfather. He is in his late 80s. He's almost 87 now. And he had to quit school in the 6th grade to support his family. And nobody would have ever thought that later down the road he would have a successful business for over 60 years. And so it really showed me, especially as a young girl, that no matter what challenges life may present to you, you can always overcome them as long as you're willing to put in the work. So he always inspired me and still does to this day.
Oh, that's wonderful. So how do you stay, we talked about some of the lifestyle things that you do to stay healthy and to try to stay in balance, but who or what is your biggest source of strength in your life? When times get bad or you're feeling a little down, where do you reach for strength?
I definitely reach for strength through my faith. That is number one. Because when nobody's around to talk to you, you always have God to be there. So I've always, just called on him to help me through the toughest of times. But my family and my friends have always been there and been my biggest supporters, so I can always call on any of them.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So what challenges do you see ahead for you? I mean, you've overcome a huge challenge at a very young age. What kind of challenges are you struggling with now in your life?
Well, I think it's definitely having people see me more as the girl who was in a pageant, who lost the weight. Being able to get out there and to show people that I'm ultimately just doing this to help others and to help kids that are going through the same things that I went through. And it's not all about the glitz and the glamour of the beauty pageant. I'm much more than that. And I just really want to get my message out there, and the challenge is having people kind of, look past that a little bit and to kind of see that, I am an advocate for health and wellness. And
so you feel that do you feel you're being limited by their view of you as a pageant winner?
Well, in some areas, I've definitely broke through a lot within the past months, which is great. And people are starting to see and take me seriously, which is awesome. But, it's just so hard for people to break down that wall of the beauty queen exterior and to see that I'm ultimately just trying to help people.
I just wonder if, now that you're talking about the beauty queen exterior, if in some ways it was easier to have the weight on as compared to now being, you're a beautiful woman, and that has its own challenges, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's really hard for me because people will still tell me to this day, they'll say, oh, I think you're just so beautiful and gorgeous. And then sometimes I have to kind of, take a step back because I never felt that way growing up. And to have people tell me that now, it's just like, okay, well, accept it for what that's a great compliment. I'm glad that they think that way. And, it's really, just something, whenever you're younger, you go through all those emotional stages and you don't feel beautiful. And when people start to tell you that, it's really hard for you to accept that when you know it and you feel it. But still in the back of your mind, you have that young girl coming out that wants to say, no, you're not. Yeah. And so I really have to continuously put myself into check.
Yeah. I think that, we all, it's kind of one of those things of be careful what you wish for, right?
Yeah,
because
I know.
there were certainly challenges of being overweight, and there's certainly challenges of being thin and beautiful too, one of which is not being taken seriously, as you said earlier. So what would you say to the 12-year-old that you were, knowing what you know today?
Believe in yourself. Don't let others' words affect you, because there's so much more to life than just what you're going through right now. Definitely just persevere through the hard times, and you'll get there.
And you did.
I did. I didn't think I was back then, but
yeah. And
I believe in myself
that's the
now.
short-sightedness of youth. If only we could look into the future, I think a lot of problems could be easily solved.
I know. Sometimes I look back and I laugh at the things I thought were the end of the world.
Yeah, exactly. So tell us about we've talked mostly about the past. Tell us about what your future is involved with. Like, what are you doing and what's coming up for you? And,
Well, I'm really excited about the future. I gave up my title of Miss South Carolina back in July, and I immediately started working with people out in California and really, perfecting my message and getting it to a point where it could be, brought to people. And the situation that I was in with the media last year, it's important to bring it back up and to not let people forget that it is such an important message, especially today. And so I started the One Step with Bree campaign, and it's basically an online and offline community for people of all ages to go online and to share their own steps towards becoming a better person physically and emotionally. And you can share those steps, and you can put your location and where you're from, and maybe meet up with somebody that is near you, and you can meet up at a coffee shop and share your own struggles and have that support system. But it basically encourages people just to take one step every single day. You don't have to start off being a marathon runner or completely cutting out all the foods that you eat, but just take one simple step to becoming who you want to be every single day, and you'll eventually get there. And
so if people want to find out more about that, how do they go about doing that?
My website is breeboyce.com, and they can find out more information and how to reach me. I'm still speaking to schools, organizations, conferences, and events all over the U.S. now. So if you want to schedule or book me for some motivational speaking, you can get all the info there and get in touch with my manager. So all the info is there that you need. Okay.
So tell us a little bit more about, the kind of lifestyle you've adopted and how I know you said your eating has changed because you're not eating junk food anymore, but what kind of eating plan do you follow?
Just a very healthy, clean, and natural diet. I think that anything grown from the ground is good for you. It was meant for you to eat. And I eat a lot of veggies, a lot of fruit, a lot of lean protein, complex carbs. And I just make sure that my diet is very balanced and that it stays consistent and that I'm not, one day eating very low and the next day eating very high calories. It's all about consistency and staying really focused, because if you lose sight to all of these advertising gimmicks that they have out there for all the fast food and, buy one, get two hamburgers for free. And
supersize it.
Yeah, and supersizing. If you fall into that, then you're not doing what you need to do. And I think it's so important just to realized that our ancestors didn't eat that way, so why should we? And they were perfect. They didn't have problems like we do today. Mm-hmm. And so for me, it's just about being healthy and really just understanding what I'm eating. And I try and eat everything that doesn't have a label. And do you know how hard that is today?
Oh, yes, I do. I do know how hard it is.
But it's been a very big challenge, but this year I've really been adamant on sticking with that and sticking with knowing what I'm eating and not putting junk into my body. And just
what do you do
an hour of exercise.
I was just going to ask you, what kind of exercise do you do?
Yeah. Well, I when I first started losing weight, I thought the more I exercise, the more the weight will come off. And that's true, but you can definitely burn out. Mm-hmm. And you can tire your body out. And so it was important for me to realize that not only is food about moderation, but so is exercise. Mm-hmm. So every single day I work out for an hour. If I want to go to like a Zumba class or something and have fun, I'll add that in. But it's all about keeping it fun and keeping it where you don't get burned out. And traveling for me now has been very hard, and I just have to make that time. And my dad always told me, if it is important to you, you will make the time for it. And my health is definitely important to me, and so I make time for exercise every single day.
Yeah, that's amazing that you can do that given all your traveling.
Yeah, I will schedule out an hour in my schedule every day and try and make it work. Some days I'm not successful, but I just brush it off and I start over the next day.
Have you actually worked individually with any people who are struggling with their weight? Is that like as a coach, is that a goal for you, or is that something different than what you're going for?
Well, I've definitely worked individually with a few young kids in my hometown. I will meet up with them and talk with them, and I actually have, written up good things for them to eat and things to buy at the grocery store and to try new and different things that they would never try before. And I go walking with them and we'll talk. And so I've definitely done that in the past, and I still continue to do that. And it is definitely something I would be interested in doing in the future after all the traveling slows down and all that, because ultimately I just want to help people, and if it means individually, then that's great, but if it means in large groups, that's even better. I just want to get the message out there and to help people.
So you have a book coming out soon?
I do. I have a book coming out in the spring. I'm very excited about. A lot of people that hear me speak or talk to me through interviews, they don't really get to know how my whole entire life was, because that would take so many hours. We wouldn't have time for it. But in this book, it really goes into depth of all of the things that I went through as a young girl, physically and emotionally. And it really is just so open and truthful and vulnerable, and it is just going to be amazing, and I'm so excited for people to read it, because I think it's going to really help people see, well, this is the real girl. She's the real deal. She's not just this girl who lost the weight to compete in a pageant, because I didn't lose the weight to compete in a pageant. I lost the weight first and then decided to compete in a pageant to have a bigger voice and to be able to speak to others about my platform.
I just want to reiterate what you just said, because I think it's really important, because so many people are losing weight for a purpose that they think will, serve them. It'll make them better or more lovable or whatever. And I like the fact that you said you lost weight because you wanted to get healthy and then decided from there, okay, here's what I want to do.
That was never the priority. Yeah, growing up, it always would have been great to compete in pageants, and you always watched Miss America as a little girl. But for me, I never had that on my mind that, I'm going to lose the weight so I can compete in a pageant. That was never the issue. For me, it was I just want to be healthy and be able to live a long life and not to be in pain and have all these health issues.
Do you have any interaction with Michelle Obama's program or any of the other national groups who are trying to work on childhood obesity?
I actually am a member of Obesity Action Coalition, and I have worked with the Let's Move campaign on several instances. Michelle Obama has written me twice on my efforts to end childhood obesity, and I have worked with her program in several schools in South Carolina, and I have gotten up and embarrassed myself and have done the move your body dance with kids in school. And I am not a dancer, so I definitely put in the effort and just embarrassed myself just trying to help others. So I've definitely worked with a lot of different organizations, and I've just been humbly blessed to be able to be in this position and to be able to work with so many great organizations.
Well, I'm just so glad that you're taking a message that's really something that is, whole and healthy, and it's not about the number on the scale, which is what so many kids have been told, that, like I said earlier, that it's all about the number on the scale. I like the fact that your message is really about health, which is really the reason that we should all be doing things differently. So I really want to thank you for being on the show. I'm sorry to say, but that's all the time we have today.
Oh, well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been a great pleasure for me to talk with you as well. And I want to also thank my listeners to The Vital Life, Awakening Your Full Potential. I'm your host, Dr. Carolyn Coker-Ross, and I'll talk to you next week. Until then, I wish you good health and vitality.
You have been listening to the Dr. Carolyn Coker-Ross Show. Please visit CarolynRossMD.com. That's CarolynRossMD.com to access podcasts, show archives, and more about Dr. Ross and her services.